Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Real Football Talk. As always, I'm Hassan and I have Adil with me. Adil, how are you? Great weekend for you.
Um, and the usual weekend standard.
Extra happy, I see.
No, no, not extra.
Oh
Just
yeah,
normal.
yeah.
What's expected, isn't it?
Just letting our viewers know Adil's very happy today, obviously, because United won. So I called it though, remember. Um, But yeah, let's begin with United versus Arsenal. Again, brought back memories of a lot of old games, very intense. And yeah, really good game to watch. Adi, what did you make of it?
Yeah. After a really encouraging start from United, the next hour was just marveling really at how good Arsenal were and how well they played and how much they took the game. And really had United on the back foot. And yeah, just how one moment, that one counter attack, that one disallowed goal,
That's what I was gonna say.
literally just turned the game, because up until that point,
It was all
it was
United. It was all United.
and they really looked good. I mean, the way they were beating the press, McTominay is playing like he's beating the press. He's going in and out. He's doing loads of
His bench Casemiro, okay?
yeah, and I'm like, what the heck's happened? It's justified if he's playing like that. And then, he looked really good on the board. And then that one counter attack, and it's like
They got shook, yeah.
the nerves in the stadium, the nerves of the players, the confidence just drained out of them, and Arsenal just really stepped on. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about the issues Arsenal have, and at the end of the day, when you dominate a game and play so well, you have to win, especially if you got ambitions to be at the business end of the season, going for the big trophies. So yeah, really surprised United won at the end, but again, it shows how far United have to go, that even that performance where they got dominated for most of the match, even though the result flatters them slightly, it's still an improvement. It still shows that United are developing, they're getting there, and ultimately the result is the most important thing.
The main thing is, obviously, it shows a lot more. I don't know, from an external point of view, because obviously I'm not a United fan, but it looks like the team's buying into Eric Ten Hag, and that's the most critical. And they're kind of like joining together now, whereas it was disunited, it felt like before.
Yeah, and then the day he's making big calls. I didn't agree with the fact that he was starting Anthony.
Yeah.
I didn't. I was thinking, hold on, I could understand if you bring in Anthony on, if you're playing Ronaldo and Griezmann, but you got two world-class players, two players that have won more trophies than anyone else there, and you're telling them they have to get match fit. And you're hearing every press conference, every post-match, and you're saying to them, you have to get match fit. And then Anthony walks straight into the lineup. And I was thinking, ooh, this might
Backfire.
team spirit, this might, I would think Casemiro got every right to be upset in that situation. Ronaldo has every right to be upset in that situation.
I think it's been vindicated, right? Because the result says for it. Anthony gets the goal. McTominay puts in a massive game. Do you know what I mean? So every decision he's made has been vindicated because of the results.
He's got away with it.
Yeah.
I mean, just because Anthony scored, and it doesn't really mean it's the right decision for in terms of things. But if you are going to make a call like that, it certainly doesn't make noise when the guy you back performs and gets results. And yeah, I mean, it wasn't like Anthony looked very unfit. It looked like the tempo of the Premiership was a lot for him. He gave heart. He did what he could. He showed his character. He showed
He
his
helped that. He helped that Dallo a lot as well. You gotta. He came back and doubled up a lot of the time. So
yeah, but I think that was necessary because of how good Arsenal played. This, everyone had to put a shift in off the ball or at least drop back. So yeah, had the markings of this how the big calls you make could have gone backward, could have gone wrong, wrong. But like you said, it does show, and I agree with you on that. It does show there's a real unity. There's a real, Ten Hag is the boss, and he's quite like a headmaster. He says what he thinks, and he's doing it in a way where he's involving the players in part of the decision, but he's convincing them of the virtues of going with what he wants. So it's really good man management as well, because he's being strict and hard and raising standards and pushing players, but he's doing it in a way where they want to do it because he's involved with them in the decision making in the part and being part of the process of the decisions. So he's definitely getting a buy-in from the players. And the other thing, big takeaway, is it shows mentality. At the end of the day, United weren't the better team, but they still won.
They still won, yeah, definitely. But before we get that right, let's talk about obviously a couple of points. Obviously, for me, what do you think of the Eriksen push? Foul or no foul for you?
Yeah, it's a foul. I mean, it's soft. I think that's fine. It's soft, but the people going like the lack of consistency. That's the most consistent thing. Is when it leads to a goal, they always rule it out, even if it's soft. How many times, goals are being ruled out for something soft that's happened in the box all the time? It's going the other way. So
yeah,
that's the thing I could understand. Even live, it looked like a foul. Now suddenly everyone's going on like, oh, it was soft. They didn't think it was. For me, while I was watching it,
when I initially saw it like live, I thought he got a foot to the ball as well, and that's why I was like, no. But then obviously when in the replay, then you can
and
see.
they keep going on about the knee onto the hip, but that was a match. But it's actually more the hand. He pushed him over from the back, and I actually think that's what is really the foul. You can't just push someone in the back.
Yeah.
We all saw. The whole game, there was consistency in that because that was literally the only way United could get close to Gabriel Jesus, was pushing him in the back and grabbing him, and Jesus got fouled every single time. So now you can't suddenly not give it when it comes to. But what a counter-attack that was! Talk
about changing the momentum. Yeah,
the finish as well. That was scary. That was like, whoa. That was proper speed and calm finish.
Definitely. But then obviously United go. For me, the key thing is the way that Eriksen's ball beats the whole of Arsenal midfield. I think that's what initially makes the goal, because it just dissects through the whole midfield, and then obviously United in the counter to do whatever they do. And then obviously great ball from Rashford.
Everyone keeps going on about the Eriksen passes. And I don't think that's, it's anything special. I'll be honest, like, if you looked at the game, McTominay was playing plenty of those passes, dissecting passes. Even Dallo was, even Martinez was really, and I think everyone's missed the point. It's not really about Eriksen. Let's be honest. That was an easy pass. Both of them, the first and the third goal, they're easy passes. There's no one in sight of him.
The third one, definitely, obviously, yeah, you just...
No one's really pressuring him. The real intelligent thing was Fernandes. And just like against Leicester, he's finally playing as a team player, and I think the campus has really rejuvenated him, and he's obviously that backing where he's the main man even over Ronaldo has given him a lot of confidence. I think he got taken out of a joint. His nose got taken out of a joint when Ronaldo came in, and suddenly it's not all about him. It is always about Cristiano Ronaldo, even by the managers, by everyone. And he struggled to find his place in that. Now it's back to you're the main guy, but you need to actually, but you don't rely on you.
Yeah.
So now what you're seeing is real intelligence, and it hasn't been picked up how intelligent. Like for me, all 3 goals is all about Fernandes. And even the goal against Leicester was all about Fernandes. Even against Southampton, the finish was all about Fernandes. It's all like he is now, without dominating or being the focal point of everything, he is definitely the guy making the difference more than anyone else. And I think it's easy to pick out Eriksen's passes because he's dissecting a midfield. But you got to understand, it wasn't an eye of the needle pass. It was terrible organization from Arsenal. Excellent movement and intelligence from Fernandes to be in a position where he's in so much space and it's an easy pass.
Yeah.
And that's the key thing. If you look at the second goal, the moment he notices Zinchenko's off and they're not really playing with the left back, and they're trying to do that thing of Xhaka covering that.
And the third goal, sorry. Because he has
Eriksen's one. Yeah, sorry. What does he do? He's the one who goes off to the right wing. He spots the space. That's exactly what they did against Leicester. You know, he goes into his, as soon as he noticed Thomas from Leicester bombing forward, he went to that side, plays the 2-ball, goal. So into Rashford, etc. So the way I see it is, yeah, all those goals everyone talks about Eriksen, it's actually Fernandes that is the brains behind them all.
But you kind of touched up on the point that I wanted to make about Arsenal and that position and how they were left that kind of left back space open. But this is my problem, is because we were 2-1 down. Yeah, obviously United got the lead, etc. But we were still like dominating the game, creating chances. Why break that flow and go so gun-ho? Bringing on 4 players or 3 and completely break the structure.
All attacking, yeah. Because
it's for me, it's just, why not do it at the 80th minute? It's too early. You still had 20 odd minutes.
No, I could understand if he was bringing on a defensive mid.
Yeah.
And then taking Xhaka and Lokonga off, because for that second goal, I mean, that throw-in, the mistake from Xhaka, the fact that Lokonga isn't switched on and he's left that much space for Fernandes to be free. You know, I could understand if you're saying, okay, I need someone a bit more solid in there.
Well, we haven't got that option, I do.
Right, but at the end of the day, you're saying that, but teams do things like that. They'll put a central defender in, they'll put Holding in or whatever. You can, I mean, it's not like impossible to see a situation where Ben White can't do it. He's done it. He's played there. It's not like he hasn't. Do you get it? Or even a Saliba, you can see he's got the quality to do that role. But when you got 2 players switching off, and we've seen it all season, it's like Jack has been given the license to be an attacking midfielder. And even in that game, he was bombing forward and it was Zinchenko taking on the defensive mid position. So that's obviously what they're working. But then at the end of the day, when it comes to against the better teams, Xhaka is not an attacking midfielder.
That's the other problem is that obviously, yeah, he's been given the license as a box to box. But sometimes I just feel the timing of it is incorrect. As in he's going too early. So 1, obviously you're killing the space that you're trying to go into, and 2, you just left something where if the ball was to switch, it's just all open for opposition to counter you.
Yeah, but the point is he's not an attacking midfielder,
and
he's never been a box to box. He's always got the, you know, when he counter presses, picks up the second ball and takes a shot. He's always had a good shot on him, but that's not the same as dribbling. That's not the same as going. playing like
I don't think he can dissect the team with like a ball or play a cute ball or anything like that. Yeah, here and there, but I don't think he's got that in him.
Look, so I think obviously, as that's what happens against the good teams, and it's not nothing to be ashamed of, even for United fans. At the end of the day, you look at the amount of games, Real Madrid got outplayed. They won the Champions League. There's nothing wrong with, and it looks like, this whole trend of high press, counter pressing is going back to the counter attacking game again.
Yeah.
Because certain teams seem to be getting really good at it and realizing that, hold on, even if we get dominated,
we can see
playing at that pace is hard to score. It's really hard to score. Look at, I do disagree. I do think Arsenal had good chances. They didn't test the keeper, but they actually did have good chances.
Well, there was a key moment, isn't it? That Odegaard chance. He finishes that.
Yeah, and I think there was one on the right-hand side. I think it was Saka side where he just, he's like literally in the 6-yard line. He doesn't get on target. And they tried claiming a penalty for it because Malacia tried diving in late, and they tried going as a penalty. There's another one, but there were chances. It's just the finishing was terrible.
This is what I mean. At key moments, you got to take those chances, especially when a game is so big. This is what I meant about, I keep mentioning about, the characters or the players to be bought with some experience, or like take a game by the scruff of the neck. We didn't buy that, and this is what I kept saying even last year. But yeah. Now people see why, innit? You need those type of players in there. People that have actually been there, done something,
So, no, I think.
I just think again, it's a bit more tactically naive from Arteta. Similar to mistakes that he's made last year, where he's gone too gun-ho too early, or he's put on the wrong players. There was another game last year. I can't recall which game it was exactly. Again, he made a similar mistake. The other one was when he played Xhaka at left back, even though you had a left back. Again, ended up costing us because even getting a point out of that game would have got a Champions League. But
the other thing is obviously how carried away the Arsenal players got.
Yeah,
and you have to. I think Paul Merson made the point. Or Hasselbank, I think it might have been actually Hasselbank. Yeah, it's actually Hasselbank who made the point on the Sky Sports commentary punditry that he's quite critical of Gabriel Jesus, and you just think so much of the attack is dependent on Gabriel Jesus making the difference. That he's doing like 2 or 3 players' jobs in that lineup.
Yeah, that
he's not often enough in the right area or in the box enough, and you see for that actual equalizer, he's in the box. Look at the panic it causes. Look at the way. But how many other times can you really say he has to do so much outside of the box that you just think? So I do think there's a thingy that there is. That's something that maybe Arsenal need to look at. It feels like there are players that are.
And that brings to my other point. This is why I said I'm in this Arsenal group, and I keep mentioning that this is why we needed another striker, someone who's good enough to do the other side of the game as well, so that it gives that variation for us. And again, we didn't go out and get it.
Yeah, but I think you can't fix everything in one window, and I think you have to be proud of what you got, happy with what you got. But
still missed out on 2 signings. I think we still needed 2 more signings, but hey, who?
Ultimately, it felt like at the end, the conclusion for me was same old Arsenal. They play well, they look good, but they just do some comical defending. They just get too carried away.
Let's move on, Adil. Enough about Arsenal.
Have you quite got everything off your chest? Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. I can relax now, right? let's move to the other heated game, Merseyside derby, Everton versus Liverpool. I mean, again, brilliant game. What did you make of it, Adil? Lots of controversy as well.
Yeah, it's a really good game. Quite even. I thought
Are you surprised by that though? It was quite even.
I was because I was just thinking. I knew Everton would compete, would play with heart, but in terms of quality, I wasn't expecting it to be so even. I was expecting maybe Everton to lump it a bit more, but they tried playing football at all times. They tried getting the ball down, making things happen. They obviously harassed and pressed, and they really were. I was impressed.
They had some brilliant chances. I think some of the chances were better than the ones Liverpool created.
Yeah. But you kind of get that because Liverpool do that thing of leaving two at the back, and like they allow you to have good chances, and they back the defenders and Alisson to bail them out.
I thought again Van Dijk had a poor game, and Joe Gomez kind of bailed him out a lot of time.
Yeah, Joe Gomez was good, even though some of the chances, the clear-cut chances might have been slight errors from Joe Gomez in his touch or heavy touch and things like that. In general play, Joe Gomez was the standout defender. And again, there's some similarities to the Arsenal game in the sense that a lot of the changes Klopp made actually made the team worse. And at the time, second half in the ascendancy, the biggest threat in that whole second half was Tsimikas. And then they took him off.
Yeah,
and literally Roberts had done nothing. Literally did not even overlap, and Everton were playing so narrow that the overlapping fullback was free all the time. And Tsimikas, all right, some of his crosses might not have been the best, but he was definitely creating space and chances. So yeah, some similarity in the sense of how the changes I didn't think worked.
Also, he put Nunes straight back in, even though Firmino has been in great form. I found that a bit strange as well. Why take a guy out who's on red hot streak?
Yeah, but I think obviously that he's showing his confidence and backing to Nunes. It's not like Nunes is a bad striker, but it was
definitely not. But if a guy in the last game done what he's done, and then you straight away take him out, it doesn't help him either, isn't it? And again with the team,
it doesn't matter. It's obviously also making it clear that you're now just seen as a backup. So I think that's what it is, because when you think about it, you look at the defenders that Everton had. Tarkowski, who would he prefer? He would prefer Nunes.
Yeah, 100%.
He's a championship style defender. He's been born and bred with that type of target man.
Both Conor Cody and Tarkowski will prefer Nunes any day. They like that battle.
So I thought, that's another one. Before the game I questioned, but now in hindsight, probably we're looking at it with a more bigger magnifying glass because they didn't win. But you can question it, But then, Firmino came on, and I'm not sure what he really did when he came on. I thought the only player that really was impactful when he came on was Jota. And he looked really good. He's
back to get that first goal.
He looked good as soon as he came on. But I thought Everton were unlucky. You're right. When it came to the clear-cut chances, Everton's chances did seem better. Mopé should have done a lot better. That one where he just drives it straight at in Alisson's chest. It's like
anyway, because they're pretty much what is 4-on-2 or something. Yeah, and I was like, they were lining up. I think they were lining up. That was the thing. But it's good game and good for Everton.
I wasn't surprised. Like I had it as it could be a draw as a game, or I even had it as Everton could win, simply because of the back end of last season where Everton picked up points whenever they played the big teams and lost against all the teams down in the bottom half with them. So it's clearly the way Lampard is setting the team up and the way they play, they're more comfortable playing against teams that, you know, that try and play football and that try and hard press. So that's pretty obvious. They struggle with breaking down a team with a low block.
I think quick one before we move on. Everton done a lot of signings. Obviously, Lampard's brought in Mopé, you know, Gana Gay's in as well, Onana. What do you make of all the signings that he's done on that deadline day?
I think they're very good signings. What he's doing is quite similar to what United have done. It looks like a premium on characters. He's really going for guys who are larger than life, hardworking. They all put a shift in. Not one of those signings are guys that don't put a shift in. They all got character. They're all good, you know. And I think, because of that, I think they're smart signings. They're good signings.
It looks like they have a bit more squad depth and not as fragile as they looked previously, where like if the core is gone, all of a sudden, you know, they're all over the place. But it doesn't seem like that anymore.
Yeah, well, you know, the core has been injured,
but you get my point. As in, like, if one is missing, they seem like
and I think the interesting thing will be where Calvert-Lewin really fits into Lampard's system, because whenever he's played under since Lampard's, he's never really looked as good as he did when he was under Ancelotti.
Yeah.
Even at the start of Benitez's reign, before he got injured, but he was scoring at the beginning. So, yeah, I don't know how much is Calvert-Lewin really the Lampard type of striker that you know.
No,
because he
likes someone like the Mope who's gonna hound and harass, and you know, gonna run in behind rather than
and kind of create their own thing.
Yeah,
who can try and create their own chances rather than the team create it for them.
Yeah,
and we saw the problems. You know, the time Abraham never exactly excelled, and so that's let's see going forward.
It's something interesting to keep an eye on, isn't it? Definitely.
Yeah, where does Calvert-Lewin really fit in to this new, you know, squad reshape that Lampard has done? But yeah, good performance from the quite either game. I think at the end, fair result.
Yeah, definitely. Let's move on. The other London derby, Chelsea versus West Ham, 2-1. Where do we begin? Should we straight away go to VAR?
yeah. I mean that is the talking point. That is the main thing. Outside of the fact that how well West Ham played, and you know, it wasn't just they were unlucky on other occasions where they played and kind of counter-attacked Chelsea quite easily.
I think that decision was just so bizarre. I just could not understand how, in what sense they gave that as a no-go.
And the thing is, when you're watching it, VAR is zooming in and changing the angles of things to make it actually look like it was a foul. And that's where I have the problem, because
it's that his job.
When you originally watch it with the frame, you know, where it's showing the whole kind of lower body of the player going in, it still looks majorly soft, like nothing's happened. You even question how much is really tough. Then it keeps zooming into just the like below the knee section. And I just thought, this is just complete manipulation. It's completely making it look a lot more serious and worse than it actually was. And, you know,
some of the reading, you said dangerous play or something like that is because of that.
It's ridiculous.
Endangering the goalkeeper.
What? So then, you know.
So what? He's not allowed to challenge for the ball when the ball's there to be won?
What happens every time a keeper rushes out? Even if he gets the ball, he's going to make contact with the striker running through and go late. So isn't that endangering a player then?
Yeah, I'm just saying what's being said, right? And I think the Premier League have come out and asked PGML to give justification, and they apologize. But the apology is not going to give West Ham the point back. Or, you know, it could be something more important. Every point is important for the Premier League teams.
Yeah, and obviously the moment that's in it, 1 minute into injury time, I think that it's first minute saying that goal. It's literally minutes after Chelsea had taken the lead.
Yeah.
And I just think, Mendy deserves an Oscar because his acting on that. Like he got his arm, you know. It was like, what the heck?
He's finally got something right after a couple of blunders.
He does it a lot. He does it a lot, actually, just play acting and blaming everyone else and looking at other people. And you know, I think, and I actually felt this was going to happen. I actually felt Mendy is going to struggle because of the loss of Peter Cech. Because you can tell he was a mentor for Peter Cech, and it surprised me how much Tuchel is struggling from the loss of Peter Cech. You can see it. He looks like he's going to combust nearly every. He's either laughing
every press conference.
Yeah. He looks a bit like a bit of a psychopath. And you can tell that presence that Peter Cech had is a bit like the influence Maldini has on all the players at AC Milan. It was really big. It really set the tone, the confidence, the mentality. And he's a bigger loss than I think everyone realizes. And the biggest loss is on Mendy, because he's been erratic all season. He's got that tendency anyway, but he'd recover, he'd regroup when he had Cech. And now he just looks like a complete, shadow of the top keeper and everything. And let's be honest, he's playing very similar to Kepa in his antics and everything.
I mean, I know some of their fans just say, just put Kepa in because Mendy's just doing too many errors.
Yeah, and you have to give West Ham credit. That new back line didn't look so great. Fofana went straight in.
Yeah.
And, West Ham done really well to, take the game to them, especially in the second half. I thought, it was good. Both teams were really going for it. Both teams were pushing for it. But this is not the solid Chelsea that we have seen in the first year of Tuchel's reign, where
the main thing is
possession.
That's it.
They're not dominating that game, Adu. So that's why they're not looking as solid, because all of a sudden the opposition's got the ball and they look more vulnerable.
Yeah, but obviously, it's a different game when you got Jorginho and Kovacic, as your two defensive mids, and now you can see Jorginho's, not quite at the peak that he was during that time. When Kovacic been injured, now Kante is injured, now Loftus-Cheek is injured, Conor Gallagher ain't ready to play that possession style. He's a box to box, so they. And that's the thing, the strength and what made their system tick was those two defensive mids.
Yeah.
And now that they're not, they haven't got, certainty in those positions, or it's not looking very strong.
They're
struggling to control games and giving up a lot of chances.
Great impact from Chilwell, came on, goal, assist.
Yeah, and he's got that where he always gets into the box, goes beyond the striker.
That was a great goal, though. The way
good finish
there and then passed it through the leg of the keeper.
Yeah,
good
finish. So yeah, definitely.
Again, good. I mean, they got the result, right? Chelsea got the result, so bit of luck, but they got the result. It's not on them, right? It's VAR.
I know that it's not like they played like they were pushing for the winner. They were really going for it, but at the end of the day, West Ham scored a legitimate goal. So
yeah. Talking of VAR, let's move across to Newcastle, because again, VAR is involved to disallow Newcastle's goal and probably the winner.
That one is worse for me. Because there is such a blatant push from the defender. It's so blatant.
Yeah.
Like you can't tell me, because every frame they looked at, you could see the push.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's disguised in such a way that you couldn't tell the player, because the thing is, the player was not going into the keeper. He's going to head the ball.
Yeah.
And then suddenly he gets pushed and it speeds up into the keeper. You can't miss that.
Yeah, how is he meant to control that?
That is just pure dodgy. For me, that is more dodgy than the Chelsea one, because of the fact that you are choosing to ignore one action and just focusing on the second big, it's as if you're looking for a reason to disallow the goal rather than actually watching the whole incident in its as one, because both things are part of the same incident. You cannot miss it.
It's linked, Adi. If it wasn't linked, then okay, you could it's linked. It's in the same phase of play. It's in the same a second apart. You telling me it's not in the so it's just crazy. It's just crazy.
And the thing is, there were quite a few goals over the weekend that got ruled out by VAR because at the initial part of the attack. So it wasn't the assist or the goal that was the problem. It was the pre-assist that the guy was like an inch off. And quite a lot of games. So you're willing to go that way back to disallow goals in other games, and they rightly called it. Yeah. And on this one, where it's the main incident, you can't miss it out. You can't go back and see that. You can't.
It's too far away.
But the thing is, we already know. I mean, it's been spoken about privately that there is an anti-Newcastle movement within the Premier League, and you can see there is bias against them. If it's at boardroom level, then it's going to trickle down. Because at the end of the day, everything is being paid for and run by the Premier League. And I think, these are things that need to get said and called out. It's not conspiracy theory. Everyone knows that.
You know what? I just think
to make sure Newcastle don't become an elite club. That's why they changed the actions show it. They changed the rules around sponsorship only after the Newcastle takeover happened. We already know the debacle of how they delayed that for over a year, that whole takeover, because they didn't want it to happen, even though they had no real justification or ruling behind. They had to be taken to court for that. So you can already see the anti-Newcastle movement. And yeah, I don't know. I think they're looking for reasons for them to not win.
Well, they're trying to make his life as difficult for Newcastle as possible, right? That's what it comes down to. Let's. I mean, is there anything? What did you make of Isak? Obviously, second game in.
Yeah, missed a good chance. Yeah, he missed a really good chance. He just looks like quality play. He just looks like a cut above. Even the thing that was really good was he played a bit more of a playmaker role, dropped off a bit more, was setting up other players, looking to set up other players. He's showing he's got a full all-round game. Mm-hmm. And yeah, and I like he's been getting physical with the British and defending and that style. I thought it's really good. I like the way he's playing. He's not, because he's quite thin. He looks a bit thin, but
he's not a real physical player like that one that gets up against the defender. So he's very he's gonna beat you through speed and knocking it past you.
But I like his mentality where he's not shying away from getting into tussles or getting into pushing match after the incident. He's not letting people intimidate him, and you can see he's not intimidated by it. So yeah, he's gonna make a huge difference. Quality signing. Yeah, I just thought, that, and then the other thing is the shock of Man City dropping more points.
That's what I was gonna go to. Stevie G done a massive job on Aston Villa to draw 1-1 against Man City, and made some big calls as well. Bringing back Leon Bailey, etc. Dropping Coutinho.
Seems like vindicated again.
Yeah, he went to a defense-first approach, which is what they needed to do for a long time. They dropped both playmakers, Buendia and Coutinho, and you could see the balance was better. And yeah, don't get me wrong, City should have won the game, but Aston Villa never gave up. They still competed all the way, and they never looked like there was especially their reaction to going to go down. They made changes. They made positive changes. They tried to get back onto the front foot and make things happen and get back in the game. So Yeah, I think the story of that match was how carried away City got, because you can tell, it was really visible in the second half that the game became all about trying to get Haaland to score. And I don't know, but it was really strange how there were better options and they just kept trying to get it into Haaland. And it's like when a player's last game of the season and
they're trying to get him the golden boot.
They were actually acting like that. When I was watching the game, I said, "This is so strange." It's like, when it just doesn't come off, they're all like sighing. And the one player that's getting annoyed with it was Foden, because maybe it's karma, because the previous games he didn't.
Well, he didn't pass the ball to Haaland.
This time, a lot of the time, he was in better positions and he never got the ball. That was strange how much everything was.
Gets a goal, Haaland, again.
No, but after that goal, it became like a bit ridiculous how much they're trying to get it into him and make it all about him. So, yeah, it cost them. Ultimately, it cost them, and Haaland, that is not pressing that well off the ball, and they're lacking that intensity of the ball, because that initial press, which is the most important press for them, just doesn't happen. And yeah, I think the 5 weeks when the World Cup is going on is gonna just be such a blessing for Man City, because you can only imagine what Pep Guardiola is gonna do to Haaland in terms of and getting him to press with the same intensity as when he's sprinting in behind.
Yeah, you know, when he goes to press, he just seems like he's like not jogging there. But when he's played through, it's like horse galloping through. You know, like complete different sort of energy and momentum.
Yeah, I won't be surprised after the World Cup if you see Haaland pressing completely be different and a lot more intense. I got a feeling that 5 weeks they will really get him into shape.
He's not going World Cup as well, isn't it? So he's going to get all the time in Pep. So let's just hope he doesn't change his game too much. That's the problem with Klopp, isn't it? Sorry, Pep.
I think that's one of the things when he brought, Lilo in as his assistant, who's one of the coaches that Guardiola, got a lot. Got his some ideas from when he took his year sabbatical. He's accepted a lot more things. He's a lot more relaxed about it. He's not as controlling. He does give more ownership to players and more freedom to players than he used to. And I think you can see that already. Like he's allowing the team to adapt to Haaland's strength. So I do think on little things, technically he'll brush up Haaland, but I'm not sure if he's going to really change his game like the way he did with Lewandowski, where Lewandowski could do everything, but he played like a proper target man striker. And then suddenly, Pep really changed his game into a false nine. So I'm not sure if it's going to go to that level. I don't think so, but you'll see shades of it.
I really hope so. It's going to kill that thing that Haaland does when he runs through. That's just amazing when he does that. Let's pick up the Tottenham 2-1 Harry Kane again.
Yeah, I mean that was one of their better performances. They had loads of chances. The amount of chances they had. One of the first teams to actually really dominate Fulham. Fulham really struggled with getting a foothold in the match, but they got character and which was a really good goal. Yeah. Excellent goal, again showing his all-round game. But yeah, that game should have been out of sight a long time ago. The amount of chances Tottenham had and missed.
It's the first game where Tottenham really looked like they actually full on dominated completely throughout.
Yeah, and I think they really are comfortable with teams who press and try to really give, because they got so much intelligence, and Kane is the difference maker. You get the ball into Kane, the defender is not winning that personal duel.
No.
Because you know, he'll flick it in behind you, he'll turn you inside out, he'll do a quick 1-2 with the midfielder. He's just so good at seeing the picture and being ready for
combinations he has. He's got everything. Like, it's not like he can do just like one thing.
And you can get it into his chest and get it into his head, you can put it on the ground. He's winning that most of the time, and on that first touch, he's giving an accurate pass out to someone else. So he really is the focal point of the counter attacks, and you know it's really hard to stop. So yeah, that's 2 games in a row where I guess none of us they got dominated.
Yeah,
but you know that was part of the plan. It's a bit like the United sit deep counter attack, but here it wasn't as bad as that. But clearly, they like teams that leave them space.
Do you know what it is? It sets up brilliantly for like next weekend.
I don't know, from a like a natural point of view, like you look at it, Conte versus Pep, obviously they just Man City just drew. You know what Tottenham's going to go and do? They're going to sit back and counter.
It's going to be fascinating to see how
that game pans out.
I think it's more fascinating because of the managers more than like the stars. I think, you know, as soon as I can't see Tottenham play with much ambition, but as they've shown the last few weeks, they don't need to play with too much ambition because Kane is a difference maker. So I think it is set up for the strength of Spurs because of the way Man City over attack. You get it? They're a bit more attacking this year. They're a bit more reckless this year with the whole leaving 2 at the back and the fullbacks both coming in. It's leaving more gaps out wide.
I want to see.
So let's see
what Pep adjusts.
Yeah, but we saw what Newcastle did with that. So, you know, if they have Kulusevski and Song on those channels, I mean, that's going to stretch those 2 centre-backs. So, yeah, let's see if Pep changes anything from what he has been doing. But it cost them against Newcastle when just Maximin had so much space down the channels to just run at them and cause them so much trouble. Let's see if they adapt anything to counter the space that you know Song is going to attack that space. You know, Kulusevski is going to attack that space if the fullbacks are coming in as central midfielders. So, yeah, I think more in terms of this might be a fascinating game in terms of the tactical side. I'm not sure whether.
No. That's what I meant when I meant as in like how they go on about it in terms of the managers and how they kind of counteract each other's tactics. That's what I meant. It's like fascinating to see because I want to see what adjustment Pep makes to obviously, you know, counter the way Conte likes to attack, and then obviously what Conte does to obviously, you know, beat that initial press that they have from Man City.
Yeah, and these are the games where you're actually going to see the benefit of Tottenham actually strengthening their bench. Because, you know, against City, if you're going to have a lot of tired players, now you can bring 5 fresh players on, and if those players are just as good. And, you know, it's not like, you know, if it's Perisic or Cesar, they're both runners. If it's Carlson or Kulusevski, they're both going to give you a hard time. You know, they've got players that are going to run and, you know, have got enough about them to cause problems. So, yeah, I do think these are things that are going to change the dynamics of, you know, and I don't think the five sub rule actually benefits City. I think it counts against them now because they tire teams out, and that's how they get a lot of late goals. And now teams are able to refresh half the team.
Yeah, they got fresh players.
It makes it harder for them.
But you know, like if you look at the table, it's just so interesting. Like all the teams like clattered together. It looks amazing.
It's what we thought the Prem would be like even the last few seasons, but then
it wasn't.
The exceptional, you know, standards that Chelsea, I mean Liverpool and Man City, and the season, you know, the season before Chelsea set, you know, they were high standards. Like I was surprised, but then a lot of the other teams were going through transitions, and now you're starting to see the Tottenham are at the end of the transition where they're getting things right. You're seeing Arsenal at the end of their transition, and you're seeing United at the start of their transition, but they got a manager that's got an identity and a plan and the way they're doing it. And, you know, because they've had such a lack of direction, anyone with a plan is going to make a huge difference. And you're seeing the benefit of that because they still had good players.
Oh, but they still got good players in that team. It's not like they got terrible players.
Yeah. So now we're seeing a lot of teams, and now you're seeing the teams that are really planning well, coaching well, you know. So now you're seeing, and it's brave. A lot of these managers are brave now. They're not afraid to play a similar style to the Pep and Klopp system. You see in Brighton, they always high press. They're always playing possession. You got
great win by them, by the way. Brighton 5-2, absolutely demolished.
Good win, and that was an impressive win because that shows a lot of character.
Yeah,
you know, they lost goal in the first minute. They went 2-1 up, then conceded, and then they went on, and they just literally, after Leicester got back to 2-2, they literally pummeled.
That McAllister goal as well, free kick, but even before the free kick, the other one.
It's a lad one, oh my gosh. And that's what I mean, there's quite a few goals that got disallowed for something that happened right at the beginning of the attack.
Yeah.
And you just think, man, do you get it? Like,
the guy's probably not going to score a goal like that when it's like, and then they take it away from him.
Yeah. So that was sad, you know. But Brighton looking good, Southampton looking good. I have to mention one thing. Really impressed with the signing Southampton made on the deadline day. I mean, you know,
the youngsters from Man City.
Yeah,
but even Man City is quite smart though, Adil. I gotta say, because they got buyback clause in there.
Yeah, apparently, like just from Southampton alone, they got like 40 or to 50 mil.
Yeah, from
Southampton, they got buyback. They've also got 20% sell-on fee, and yeah, I mean it's very smart business. But the thing I was really surprised with getting Kaleta Kerr for 10 mil. Like, wow, what a signing that was.
I think he had a year left, I think.
Still, I mean, how many other clubs are there that he's a quality defender, really good. So yeah, I think
with Bella Kachop, it might be a really good pairing.
Yeah, they're very impressive with the signings they went with. I'm really surprised. So yeah, it's just a league that's. We were worried the gap's getting wider, but because of the good coaching, a lot of teams seem like they got a plan and how they're building their squads and what they're doing.
But a lot of teams invested as well, isn't it? That's the thing.
Yeah.
They didn't like it just sit back. Everyone invested in their squad.
Everyone's got smart on their scouting and so now they're picking like how many South American talents is Brighton picking off? You know, those are players that are always going to the Portuguese league, Italian league, the Dutch league, the French, Spanish league. Now they're picking up all these talented South Americans, and they're giving them the time to perform, get used to the acclimatized pressure, and then suddenly they sign them like the season before, and they shine the season after.
But they're really smart. Like even if they sign them, some of them they loan them out for a year. Just to get that, and then boom, bring him in. All of a sudden, they look like an established Premier League player, and you're like, where did this guy come from? And then you realize they signed him a year back.
And they got loads of them. Even currently, the amount of signings they got, where they're probably thinking a whole season ahead.
Yeah,
they're not. You know, their plan is still Welbeck is their main striker, but it's just really good planning because look, I was surprised at the time thinking, wow, they're actually selling more pay. Why? You know, he's a guy who scores 10 goals every season, gives them heart, unique. But that's how they are. They're moving players on, they're keeping the squad fresh on their toes. And they're fourth in the Premier League, maybe even third. I'm not sure. I think it's fourth.
I'll have a look at the table in a bit, but just quick mention, Brentford, Tony, hat-trick.
Oof. Yeah. Oh,
that free
great
kick.
The free kick and the dink of just class, really showing his class this season. And last season, everyone was expecting, I was expecting to perform better than he did. And I think he was getting a lot of attention. But this season, Looks like he's really showing his.
He's taking it to the next level from last year.
Yes, he's facing the goal more. See, last season he was playing a bit too much like a target man a lot. This year it seems like he's playing a lot more of a freer role, but that's why you've seen him on the wings and facing it. And that penalty, the penalty even is just class.
But you know what? It just doesn't seem like he's gonna miss. Like
the thing is, when you're watching it, you think it's you're thinking that's like every time I see him score, I think, how can the keeper not get that? How can the keeper not get that? It's like, how is he beating the keeper? It's just class, What and he does it the way he takes penalties the way Cantona used to. Just the arrogance, the confidence is just on a different level.
I think you need that, innit? That in itself is a thing, isn't it? Because oh man, but again, what's his name? I think him and Burmo. I think that combination is just brilliant and deadly, because obviously he stretches the play, that gives the space to Tony, and the vice versa. Tony does the same, and then Burmo comes.
Yeah, and then they got the next Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in Wissa. Every time he comes on, he had the assists or goals. He impacts the game. It really does impact the game,
Then he puts him into the team for the following week, and he disappears.
I don't think he disappears, but
he does what I mean, innit?
Yeah, but they've got a super sub there, man. Every time he comes on, he makes a difference.
They're looking really good as well. Were you concerned by Nottingham Forest, the way they gave away a 2-goal lead?
Well, the concern's going to be how they react now to that, but the thing is, I'm not surprised as well, because he's not doing nothing about. I mean, he might do it now, but if you're looking at the goals, because a lot of it is poor positioning from McKenna. The guy is not positionally a good defender. He's used to, the rough stuff, the target man type of strikers, the physical battles. You come up against strikers and a team with those type of strikers, he'll do better against Nunes than he will against, Firmino. He's one of those ones, like we said about Tarkovsky. So I think, he's making mistakes, and the back line is making mistakes, and that's a young team, a lot of new players. You can understand that they got carried away, 2-0 up. They weren't really playing that good. I thought they were lucky to be 2 goals up. They weren't 2 goals, but it's quite an even game up until the first goal anyway. So, let's see their reaction. They've got enough players.
Before we finish, Rodgers, is he going to get the sack? Because again,
I've seen him do this before, where he doesn't want to be somewhere, and everything he does and everything he says is to show that he really doesn't want to be there anymore. So I think Rodgers wants to get the sack. He wants his payout.
That's not a good thing, though, is it? It's like, if you're continuously doing that.
Well, I'm not saying it's continuously, but he's given his all. He obviously doesn't feel like he's got the backing. The club's ambition has changed. There is a lot to criticize about Leicester. We always praise their owner. We always praise the way they support their manager, the closeness. But what they've done this summer is a joke, because it's not hard to sell one player and reinvest that money, or at least go for some free transfer. People, not everyone has spent money, but they've been creative.
Yeah.
They've shown zero ambition. I'm sorry, they could have gone for a free transfer, Tarkovsky, they could have gone for, there's loads of things they could have done, at least just to tackle the problems, because there were problems with their backline whole of last season. And I just think there's a bit of stubbornness somewhere, where they're trying to make money out of every player, and they put that above at least showing some ambition or supporting the manager. At the end of the day, they had a tough season last season, and he done well to get them 8th, I think, at the end. So, I'm not criticizing him if he just feels like he'd rather go, but it feels like he's the guy who really doesn't want to be there anymore. Yeah. He's not saying anything to galvanize his team. He's not saying anything to show a bit of fighting spirit. He's going there and saying, "Oh well, you know, we tried our best. We did this, we did that." You know, and he's done it before. Yeah. So you can just tell that connection's gone, and he'd rather just.
But then Leicester should just I mean, if that's the case, if the owners can see that, they should just move him on and get someone in who can maybe give that initial boost, you know, get Leicester going again.
He's never gonna say it, is he? He's not gonna ever say.
No, I don't mean as in Rodgers saying it. I want out. I mean the manager, the owner just coming in and just, you know.
Yeah, but obviously, clearly, you know, the people running the club making mistakes now after getting praised for the last few years. And you don't have to spend money, but at least do some buying and selling. You can sell. You know, you got a lot of assets.
There's a lot of players that don't want to be there. Dennis Prayer, he doesn't want to be there.
And we've seen teams get relegated when
Sumaro doesn't want to be there.
Yeah, Tielemans wants to go. Yeah. You know, Madson's getting, you know, offers from Newcastle. At the end of the day, you know, they're ambitious players. They want to try and have a chance of scraping into the World Cup. You get it? So, yeah, you can just tell the dynamic ain't right, and probably needs. It's still a good team, so I wouldn't say, you know, a fresh leader will have that team doing well.
They're doing well, yeah, definitely. On that note, Adib, thank you as always for joining. For those who are watching, thank you for watching. Please make sure you like, share, subscribe, and please leave a comment on your thoughts and views of the week. And again, what a brilliant week of Premier League football. Yeah, thanks, Adib.